I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Can I have a roll call?
Josh Bachman.
Here.
Matt Barber.
Here.
Steve Clemens.
Here.
Brandon Dudo. David Glabe.
Here.
Ricky Joe Hickey.
Here.
Megan Keating.
Here.
Molly King. Here. Gary Lillard.
Here.
Marianne Meisner.
Here.
Roxy Ogilvie is absent excused. Justin Rock. Tony Smith. Here. Denise Wheeler.
Okay, very good. Agenda approval. We have a new agenda on the table. Anything that we need to be aware of at all?
Not that I'm aware of at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Public hearings on the proposed 2026-2027 city's general fund, enterprise, and other funds budgets and state revenue sharing remain open and will continue this evening. These hearings shall remain open until the chair formally declares them closed at the conclusion of the hearing process. A very quick announcement. Denise was very kind enough to deliver us all little goodies. But if you open them near your mic, that's all they hear. So, if you're going to open candy, do so under the table. Thank you for that. Why don't you kind of give us a general idea of what we're going to do this evening, and then we'll start into it.
Yeah, go ahead, John. You just want me to speak on the agenda piece?
Well, ultimately, we're just going to, all right, so I have kind of an opening statement that goes over it a little bit. But the short version is, rather than us go and rehash the same way that we did the last couple of nights, we're just going to take you right into the general fund in the areas in which we made progress today per the guidance that we received yesterday.
Okay, very good.
Intention is for us to go through those slide by slide and have dialogue on each slide if you want to. Go through it one time, and in theory, when we get through it after that first time, we should be completed or ready for you to go into deliberation.
Okay. Do we have to revisit any element of the enterprise funds?
No, we concluded everything we needed to do yesterday.
Yeah.
We
Except
do
for,
the street reserve fund and the general reserve fund because of some transfers
Okay,
that
that's
we've done in the general
Okay,
fund. Yeah.
so when we get through with the departments, we'll take that element. I don't see it on here.
So you're just going to follow the agenda. It's 2 pages. So on the back, if everybody flips over to the second side,
Got
there's
you.
yellow,
Yep.
street reserve fund and general reserve, and that's what Heather's
Okay.
talking about. Because you guys already went through most of the enterprise fund last night.
Right.
She'll touch on those. If you guys want to deliberate, you can, and then you're going to close the hearing and entertain the motion.
Okay, so the yellow on the back are
the only two at the
funds
enterprise.
that we will address after we've gone through general.
Correct.
Take it away, John.
all right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Before we continue tonight, I want to begin by addressing something directly and candidly. At the conclusion of yesterday's hearing, the Budget Committee requested that staff work to identify an additional 10% reduction related to general fund pressure. During that discussion, I expressed optimism that we likely had room to achieve meaningful reductions without creating the level of impact some were concerned about. Today, after final reconciliation of our labor negotiation figures, I need to acknowledge that portions of that confidence were based on an incorrect assumption on my part. On 11 May, we completed what I believe will likely be the final collective bargaining negotiation event for this cycle, pending signatures and council approval next month. Based on preliminary discussions and earlier projections, I believed we had likely come in under labor escalation estimates already built into the proposed budget. Unfortunately, after final review this morning, we determined that the projected labor costs were in fact fully realized within the budget assumptions. That distinction matters because it significantly reduced the flexibility I believed existed yesterday evening. I felt it was important to state that clearly and transparently to this committee before we move further into tonight's discussion. This morning, senior staff reconvened and worked through an aggressive series of additional reductions in response to the directions provided by this committee. These were not easy conversations. Department heads made real sacrifices within their operational areas, and I want to publicly acknowledge their professionalism, collaboration, and willingness to participate in the process. The reductions realized include removal of the grant writer position, reductions in reserve transfers, reductions in IT expenditures, and reductions across planning, finance, parks, recreation, library, and economic development. Significant restructuring was also identified within fire services, including removal of both the deputy chief and administrative support positions. Although they were not specifically asked to contribute additional reductions, the police department also participated in the effort and identified approximately $100,000 in reductions within their budget. I also want to address the police authorization discussion directly. As you will recall, this committee considered two separate motions yesterday evening regarding the possible return of one or both police authorizations. Both motions failed. By my understanding from those votes was the direction at the time was to proceed with the proposed reductions as presented. During today's staff discussions, concerns were raised that reductions occurring elsewhere in the organization were being viewed by some as the opportunity to advocate for restoration of a police authorization. Part of that concern stemmed from conversations Chief Hayes had indicated occurred separately with individual committee members or expressing support for potentially restoring one of those positions. I expressed concern regarding portions of those discussions because I believe decisions of this magnitude should occur transparently and collectively through the full committee process rather than through separate conversations outside the group setting. Maintaining trust, clarity of direction, and organizational cohesion during a process like this is critically important. That said, after difficult but productive discussion, staff ultimately came together in support of restoring one police authorization within the revised budget framework being presented tonight, inclusively of the approximately $100,000 in reductions identified by Chief Hayes and the police department. I remain committed to restoring positions when sustainable funding exists to support them. I have also heard the concern from my staff that once positions are removed, they may never return. I understand that concern, and my response is this. The operational justification for these positions already exists. This issue is not whether the need exists. The issue is whether recurring revenue exists to responsibly sustain them. Collectively, staff identified approximately $1 million in additional reductions, representing roughly 5% in reductions connected to general fund pressure, even after restoration of the police authorization. If this committee ultimately wishes to remove the restored position, that is, of course, within your authority, but it is not recommendation being brought forward by staff tonight. At this point, I do need to be very clear regarding where we stand now. Without service reductions or layoffs, the reductions you will see tonight are substantial. They are real, and they carry operational consequences. Based on the information currently available, staff assessment is that reductions beyond this point would likely move the organization into layoffs and significantly deeper service level impacts. None of these recommendations were made lightly. Our responsibility throughout this process has been to balance service delivery, employee sustainability, infrastructure obligations, long-term financial stability, and public safety while remaining honest about the fiscal realities in front of us. That is what the staff worked to do today. Even though we did not fully achieve the additional 10% reduction target requested by the committee, the reductions achieved were significant, painful, and operationally meaningful. With that said, we will walk you through the revised reductions and supporting materials in detail. You want to talk to this one?
Yep. So what we've done here is, this is kind of our ending fund balance. It's not showing everything up there. It's the very bottom part.
It's cutting off?
Yeah.
I can try doing it this way. Is it showing now?
Yeah. So the far right shows what the new, I guess, proposed or budget we are asking you to adopt tonight. We have made many reductions, as John has mentioned before. You'll see down in the middle where it says expenditures, we originally proposed $16,849,886. We are now asking for $15,804,255. That is a reduction of $1,045,631, or $1,045,631. Yes, it does not meet our 10%, but that now brings our ending fund balance from $3,731,912 to $4,787,543. Yep. Any questions on that?
Go ahead.
Good.
Okay. For council, city manager, and personnel, what you're seeing on this slide are the revised reductions made today as part of the additional budget reduction exercise requested by the Budget Committee. The items highlighted in yellow reflect changes from the originally proposed budget presented yesterday. Those highlighted areas represent the specific reductions or adjustments staff made after reconvening this morning and aggressively reviewing departmental expenditures and operational impacts. For the council, city manager, and personnel budget, the original proposed budget totaled approximately $2.9 million. The revised proposed budget before you tonight is approximately $2.49 million, representing a total reduction of roughly $404,000 from the original proposal. Those reductions include removal of the proposed grant writer position and associated benefit costs, reductions to professional services, training, communications, office-related expenditures, and adjustments to reserve transfers. You will also see the transfer to the street reserve was removed entirely, and the transfer to the general reserve was significantly reduced from the original proposal. Collectively, these reductions were part of the broader organization-wide effort to aggressively reduce general fund pressure while attempting to avoid layoffs and preserve core operational stability where possible.
Questions for John on this? Just a reminder, we're going to go through, get a briefing on each fund, and deliberate each one, and then move on. So now's the time to speak up, because we're gonna keep moving as quickly as we can.
Can you see, John, if you can go back to full screen? Does it cut off anything?
What do you mean?
The slide go to full screen.
Oh, try it again?
Or go, well, yeah, go to, yeah. And then
Oh,
advance-
there it goes. Now it showed it.
Oh, that's much better.
I don't know why I did it before.
So John, very quickly, what's the $5,000 that remains in the transfer for capital improvement?
That's a contractual transfer that we have to make. That's for our turf replacement.
Okay.
And so we do have an agreement with the other entities that go in with us, the school district, EO, college, EOU.
Okay, all right.
And so we decided to keep that transfer in there to save for replacement of the turf.
Just a reminder for the committee, this is what we did, something very similar, Dave, last year. That we pulled the transfer to capital reserve. Keep in mind that every time we do that, there will be less money in the future to make those capital purchases, whether it's an HVAC system for the library, or it's something that needs to be done at the fire station. The money, if it's an emergency, it'll have to come from somewhere.
And I do want to point out, it's a little more than what we've done in the past. Before, we've just reduced what the unanticipated cash is. We've reduced everything.
Right.
The 50,000 for the ambulance, there was 100,000 for the HVAC system for the pool. So yeah, we've reduced it down to basically that.
Right. And at some point in the future,
That'll be a problem.
yeah, you're going to need the money. Just any questions on the new budget that we've been presenting? Okay, not hearing any. I'm moving on to finance. Right, we skipped right over the general, no, we didn't. We had that
Yeah.
summary showing. So we did council manager, finance and municipal courts.
It's really hard for us to find any cuts, as I budget exactly what we're going to spend. I don't fluff my budget, so my only alternative was cutting a full-time position to half-time.
Okay.
So I've cut our front desk position from full-time to half-time. Also, you'll see in here the other changes were the computer system maintenance and repair. I can't remember if John mentioned. We did decide to go a different route with IT. We're not doing the large contract increase. We're continuing on with the contract that we currently have with them, which is a 2.5% increase, and we're purchasing the Microsoft 365 on our own.
So why did the computer system maintenance agreement go up by?
That's the purchase of the Microsoft 365.
Okay.
Yep, and you'll see that in each budget.
And we have no choice, but we have to move to
Gotcha.
365.
Yes.
The only other cut I could find in my department was training. Unfortunately, I mean, if we have to forego at least 1 year of training, I guess, but that's where I could cut.
Just curious, maybe there's somebody up at EOU would be willing to can a package of training for you all down here. They have some pretty good accountants up there. I don't know
It's like
about
our
you.
software training, so,
Okay. Just doing a pitch for EOU.
I know.
Questions on finance and municipal court? All right then, police department.
Do you want me to do, okay. As John has mentioned, we did put in 1 FTE back in for the police officer position. The other change, of course, is the IT. They also reduced their travel and training line. And then they are foregoing some departmental supplies, some facilities repair, some fleet maintenance, and the big one is where they're choosing not to purchase a vehicle, as we do every year.
Remind us what the equipment and improvements was for?
A police vehicle.
Okay.
And the fleet maintenance? Would you cut?
Do you mean facility maintenance?
No, fleet
There's
maintenance.
a fleet maintenance that's cut 20,000.
That's supposed to be facilities maintenance. That's for the upkeep of our spaces. We've been remodeling. Some of the counselors here who've been on the council for a while remember because we share a county building and our maintenance needs weren't being met, so that's where we would like to cut that.
Is that an error?
Yeah, because, Chief, there's a $3,000 reduction in facilities repair, and there's a $20,000 reduction in fleet maintenance just below it.
The $3,000 is from the communications and then $20,000 from operations, it should be.
Okay,
Okay, I will fix that
We'll
then.
get that corrected.
okay,
Good thing we asked.
yes.
Yes,
So,
thank you.
6.9. Okay. But the total appropriation is correct, it's just in the wrong
Yes,
line. Okay.
yes.
So
How
the
many
bottom
police-
line of,
Can I just ask a quick question? How old are our police cars?
Oh, it's a good question. Thank you for asking. So our oldest one is 6 years old. We run about 1,500 miles per vehicle. At 5-year mark is when we start having catastrophic maintenance events. The last time we purchased a patrol car was in 2023. And we have a total of 6 patrol cars.
So with this new police officer, will you have enough police cars?
Yes, and it's not a new police officer. It's a position that we're just wanting to
Well, that's what I
retain.
mean, but if you
Yes,
fill it,
we will be able to.
okay.
We did increase the fleet when we added the 2 positions.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
any other questions on police department?
How many miles were on the car that you wanted to replace?
We are right at 100,000 right now. We project, usually we order the cars through RFPs in July, if approved. By the time we get the car and it's actually in the fleet and replacing one, it's winter. So that car usually would have around 120,000 miles on it at that point. Yeah, our oldest car in the last 12 months, we're almost $9,000 in maintenance costs on it.
How many miles are put on a year?
I could tell you.
But yours are a little harder to determine because they're always running.
Correct. Yeah, our cars run, now we balance then the mileage on them so that we're not in a place where we have to replace multiple cars at one time because that's very expensive on the city to try to do that. So that's why we were in a routine of replacing one a year so that we always have a good running fleet. Yeah. What was the question about the mileage?
How many miles are put on a year?
Yes.
50,000.
Approximately 17,000.
But the life of a motor, the way you guys use it, you might as well double it because they're running constant. So that's
Yes.
harder on the engine than it is out on the freeway driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
You are correct. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Chief Hayes?
Do we have any money in reserve for you in case if you need to buy, if something happens to your police car? Is there enough money in the reserve?
There is not.
Is there any money in the reserve at the moment?
There is not for a patrol car. We do have a little bit for a code enforcement vehicle or parking vehicle.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
If
Thank
you
you.
lost that car totally,
We would be okay. Since we're the proposed is to reduce a police officer position. So that we'll still run our 6 cars, but when one retires and it's no longer viable, we'll still have 5 cars, so we'll be okay. We'll manage. But next year I'll be asking for a police car.
And we do have money in general reserve that's not earmarked for a certain thing. That's just general reserve dollars. So, of course, we like to keep it for emergency purpose, but yes, we can have some access.
Good? Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
On to fire and EMS.
Fire, as John mentioned, we eliminated the halftime receptionist position that we had asked for. We also have eliminated the deputy fire chief position. Medical exams, we took down a little bit. The computer system maintenance repair, that's the IT we have mentioned. Training and travel, Merle mentioned something about maybe not purchasing props for training. Computer system maintenance agreements went up because of the Microsoft 365. Books and reference material, I took down a little bit. Facilities repair, I believe there was a certain repair, and he can go over it in more detail what they were planning to do. And then also, we cut the $40,000 for the burn stretcher. I'm not exactly sure what it's called. Striker.
Yes.
So you won't, that means that not all the ambulances will have one of those stretchers?
Right, that is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that something that could be purchased with a grant or by donation?
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah, possibly. We just have to look for those types of grants to do that.
Okay.
They're very expensive cots. They're all electric, so they're,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Any questions on fire and EMS?
what was the facility repair that you cut out?
There was, have some sprinkler repairs, we have some concrete we need to do, we have some asphalt. Hopefully, we're gonna get together a little, list, later on this year and work on some stuff inside the building too, to keep up with maintenance. And then we just have to have some money in there for those unexpected things that come up, air conditioners, things like that, that do go out, so.
Parks.
Anything else? Thank you, Chief. And just as a note, this is where we left off last night. We got through fire and EMS, and then we were going to do parks and et cetera, but we decided to redirect ourselves. So-
If you're wanting to compare, if you didn't catch on this earlier, the original to the left column is the requested, the proposed is what you would have seen in the slide yesterday, and the far right with the highlights is what the new reality is looking like.
That makes it super easy to follow.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
So,
Okay.
overview, please.
With parks, we have cut some part-time hours for part-time seasonal employees. Computer system maintenance repair, of course, that's the IT. Professional services, I believe this is the Morgan Lake permits that we're reducing. Departmental supplies, just some miscellaneous things there. And that's what I got. Stu?
Yeah, so the permits are the biggest impact there. It's $69,000 for things like, so if you're not familiar with Oregon Water Resources Department, the city's working on a diversion structure in case the dam breaches at Morgan Lake to be built on private property in coordination with Oregon Water Resources, FEMA, Public Works, and Parks and Rec. We're working on that project. This money is slated to go towards some of those permitting costs. We're working with Idaho Power and using some of the money they gave us for mitigation for the B2H project, negotiating currently with them to cover some of these costs. If they don't, we will push that project out. Oregon Water Resources is pushing on us pretty hard, but I think we have a year to wiggle with.
And they've given early indication that.
Right, thank you. So Idaho Power's given early indication in support. They just have to double check a few things, whether we have to do some updated paperwork or not.
Question on parks?
Sue, did we get the splash pad situation resolved?
It's not in this budget. It's in it's in the city manager's budget, I believe.
So it's resolved from my perspective that unless you tell me differently, the money's going to go to parks.
Or the splash pad.
Yes.
Stu, you're cutting a 0.8?
Essentially a summer seasonal position, which will, we'll see the effects of it. I mean, the grass.
Pick up the trash and.
I mean, parks will look a little different. We're gonna try our best, but that's the only, I don't have a lot of fat in these, so it's all I could come up with.
I know what they do. They cover up the
Yeah.
graffiti and pick up the trash and mow the
Yeah.
lawns and.
And keep in mind, I have 2 2/3 FTE year-round in parks, and that's it for all that what they do. And we do some summer seasonals, so that's a big impact in this budget.
Yeah, I can see that.
I will add to that too, what you don't see reflected in here, in their original request, there was changes. You didn't see it, but they had already taken a cut to bring us to where we were originally coming in the room. And then this is just them cutting deeper.
It's a team effort this morning. It wasn't easy, but everybody sacrificed things.
Oh, good.
Questions for park?
Not easy.
All right, not hearing any questions for park, we'll move on to aquatics department.
It's probably easier for me to take over for
Yeah,
Heather at this
so-
point. So, no offense, Heather, you're doing a great
No,
job.
you're good.
The few things in parks, you see the computers there, the professional services and fees. What's happening there?
Supplies.
What's that?
Supplies.
Professionals.
It went up because that's where the Microsoft 365 is.
No, I'm looking at professional services.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah, thank you. The departmental supplies, and then also the equipment improvements, we've removed a security camera project that IT will have to figure out. It's a security issue, but we just can't afford it. So we either shut off the cameras or we figure out a different solution. That's $15,000 in equipment and improvements. And what you don't see here is that, Steve alluded to it earlier, the $100,000 in HVAC future maintenance is eliminated. That's in the city manager's, that's a transfer.
Stu, on the camera security, is that outside cameras or is it inside?
It's both,
Okay.
yeah.
And you have the cameras?
The cameras are up, there's a problem with the security in the software. So we will turn them off, or we will come up with a solution. We don't have time to solve the solution with, 1 day notice.
Yeah.
It's removed from the budget because it's a nice to have. We don't need security cameras, so that's why it was removed.
Okay. Questions on the aquatic department? Hearing none, moving on to recreation.
Recreation, the main impact was the removal of the remaining signal box wraps. The Arts Commission has been working over the last several years to beautify the signal boxes. You see one at City Hall with the kids' artwork on it. There's several around town. That project would finish those out. That was eliminated. Then just a small hit there in departmental supplies.
And that's the $8,500?
It was 9.
Under
It was
professional
9, but
services?
but the Microsoft
But then it
365
bumped it
went
up
back in.
again. It was an even 9,000, but the 365 bumped it to a weird number.
Gotcha, all right.
We'll look for grants to backfill that 9,000 from the Arts Commission perspective.
Okay. Any questions on rec department? Also, if I'm pushing you too fast, please slow me down. I don't want to make this look more exaggerated than it has to be. Urban forestry.
Nothing here. There's no room to cut anything, so that's just the adjustment there for the IT.
Some of that is grant funded.
Yes,
one
the
of the-
salaries, some of the
Right.
salaries are grant funded.
Yeah,
You
so
see
you
here
can't
they're
change that because we've
reimbursable.
got
Right.
money.
No, it's contractually obligated for
Exactly.
a 3-year grant, right? We're right in the middle of that.
Right.
Thanks for that clarification. You can see that in your grants and donations spreadsheet.
I do want to talk a little bit, since Stu's up here. We talked a little bit about, you guys mentioned the fee, charging a fee to our customers who are using credit cards. Stu, and I believe both of our softwares can do it. I know our software can do it, and Stu's software can automatically do it. The problem with ours at the City Hall, we are at a utility rate because we are a utility. If we start charging our customers, we will lose that utility rate. So the 3% may not really save us. I mean, it'll save us a little bit, but we're still probably going to end up be paying. Also, keep in mind, those fees are for water and sewer bills. I mean, those payments that are coming. So really, I end up refunding or reimbursing the general fund through an admin service fee with the water and sewer funds. So just kind of keep that in mind. I mean, I can charge them, but then and we can get the money in the general fund, but I got to stop charging then the water and sewer funds for those expenditures because we're getting the money back in the general fund.
Oh,
If that makes sense?
yeah.
So
Yeah,
what
and
we're-
if they charge you at a higher rate, that might not pencil out, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because we'll definitely lose the utility rate if we start charging our customers.
A lot of shops and vendors do that now, or charities do, you know.
Yeah, we're just fortunate because we have that utility rate.
So since we're not a utility at Parks and Recreation, we plan to increase our credit card fee by 3%, and that should generate an extra $6,000 to $7,000 per year based on our calculations from customers last year. Also, we plan to increase one of our membership structures, which should generate an extra $10,000 in pool revenue every year. And we're constantly evaluating a balance between fee structure and affordability in families. Because our mission is to serve youth and families, and it's important to have that balance where people can still afford it, but also pay to play. So part of that concept is through a scholarship program, partially funded by the Seroptimus Group, partially funded by We Just Write Them Off. So if a kid can't afford to play soccer at $40, we offer up to a 75% scholarship program through an application and approval process. But just know that in my department, in Parks and Recreation, we're constantly evaluating revenue. We don't budget revenue, so we don't talk about that here in these hearings, but it's a priority as a part of this discussion to know that we're planning to generate 16 to 17 extra in revenue, plus continuing to evaluate the rest of our program fees.
Thank you. Thank you, Stu. Moving on to the library.
Go ahead, Carrie.
So, you guys know about the computer system maintenance already. And, well, both of them, I guess. So, office supplies, I took that down. We can't take that down that much because that's all of our book covering, paper, people print stuff every single day here. Our big cut is going to be our departmental supplies. That is our programs line. So we're going to look for grants. We're going to make it work. But that's kind of where I have to go for that. Let's see.
What are
That
you
stayed the
foregoing on the
same.
facilities repair?
That's the sidewalk lights.
Okay.
Yeah, that actually saved us, I have to be honest. Because otherwise I'd have to come up with 50,000 more out of my minuscule budget.
Okay.
And you cut more than 10%.
It's about 10%.
More than 10%.
Let's see, what else?
How's your roof doing?
It's not leaking, Gary. There's no wood around here. It's doing good. I think we finally fixed it. Yeah.
Good.
Things are looking good there. Let's see.
Then we didn't have the winter that we normally have.
Stop.
Hey,
I did take our books down a little bit, just by $8,000. They are going up in price, but we're gonna make that work. I got rid of magazines and newspapers completely. Luckily, I just renewed some, so we should be good for a while there. Magazines are available through our Libby app, though, already, that we pay for through our consortium of libraries. So digital magazines are available, so we still have those. Getting rid of completely our audio-visual materials, and just because audiobook CDs, outrageously expensive, you can download them, for free. I'd rather use that. DVDs, same thing. You can get them through our streaming services. The great part is that we're this huge consortium of libraries, of over 70 libraries, where we can do interlibrary loans and we can get you what you need. So that's going to save us. And then we're lucky enough to have our Cook Trust set up long before me, when we first opened here. I don't know if you guys know about that. Brett Lewis handles that now free of charge, and he kind of just makes wonderful investments with it, and we get money almost every year. Heather knows about that too. So I do have 10 grand that I can use, and it has to specifically be used for audiovisual large print materials. So I cut that completely, knowing that I have 10 grand, because my patrons are going to lose it if they lose Hoopla completely. Hoopla's it for them. So we're going to put that money to Hoopla, and we'll go from there. But that's what we can do. We're going to make it work. Libraries are fortunate. We have a lot of grants that we can look into. Our state library is wonderful in offering things. And we have local, the foundation, Library Foundation. Sir Optimus has been great. So we'll look at that and we'll make it work. But, yeah, I got a great team, so we'll figure it out.
Thank you, Karen.
Carrie, when you talk programs, are you talking in-person programs, or are you talking programs that you run, like through the internet?
Both.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you guys are aware of our tiny art show. That would be gone. Author visits, educational programs that we bring in, like STEM for the kids. We do already get a state grant for summer reading programs, so we're set there for the summer. But yeah, those little extras that we love to provide our community, and they love. So yeah, that's kind of where we can get it from. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions for Carrie in the library? Economic development.
I can go through this one real quickly since it's very small unless you have questions for Timothy. As we have discussed earlier, the URA budget through the intergovernmental agreement, URA basically reimburses the general fund for these expenditures, except for in the advertising, there is $35,000 that is strictly just general fund dollar expenditures. So that's what we chose to cut. Since the URA
URA puts most of this back in.
That is correct.
Okay.
So why does it show advertising for URA? I know it's reimbursing, and why did it just go through URA?
Because you can't expend materials and services out of URA.
So the 120K that's designated for a consultant to develop an economic development plan comes, even though it shows up here, it comes out of the UR.
So that was actually, if we can remember back to Monday when we approved or recommended approval of the urban renewal budget, that 250,000 under levy, that was specifically based on direction from the council retreat in January.
Okay.
That was to cover the cost of the new economic development plan. We couldn't spend it directly out of urban renewal because urban renewal has to be limited to just the district. So in order for us to expend that on a citywide economic development plan, we had to under levy, bring that in through the general fund.
Gotcha.
And that's where that number came from.
Okay. Thank you. Questions on EcoDevo?
I do. I have a question. The consulting fees are still up. Is there any way that can be reduced or no? Because I didn't see any reduction in that.
So the consultant fees, if you look at those, we have some that we have to do every year. We do urban renewal training. We do an annual report for urban renewal, which we bring in a consultant. We have urban renewal forestry. That's a fee that we pay the forestry. Golden Shovel is actually a web service that we work with. They provide a standalone economic development website that also gets connected to a lot of our social media and is a lead generator. So that's there. And then we have 20,000 in there for miscellaneous. And that miscellaneous could be, we have a project that we think is a good idea, but we might need to do a feasibility study. We have any number of reasons why we might need to bring in a consultant. This year, for instance, at the council's direction, or actually agency's direction, we were able to bring in, using this fee, a consultant to do an assessment of the impact of urban renewal expenditures to date. And I think you saw some of those slides in the first night's presentation were from that final draft. So we'll be seeing that final version of that report probably in June. So there are a number of reasons why throughout the year we may need to hire a consultant. There's been discussion of perhaps a parking feasibility study if we think about housing as an economic development strategy. If we move forward with infrastructure on the south side housing project, we may look to economic development to fund a traffic impact study to see if that's a feasible project. So there are just lots of reasons why we may need outside expertise.
I asked that, Timothy, because you estimated like 26 plus of this year, this year, and you request was 65, so it went up 90,000. So that's the reason why I asked that. I just think that was a big jump. So
It's 120 for the economic development plan.
That's that 125,000 that is the direct transfer over from urban renewal. So if you look at our total budget, even with adding the 125,000 in, our budget actually only increased by 88,000. So we actually had a net, we trimmed some things there as well when we brought in that report.
okay, I was just curious. Thank you very much.
So that money came from urban renewal and wasn't originally part of the general fund, that
So the
consultant.
250,000,
Right.
again, going back to council direction
Yeah.
from the retreat, we under-levied the 250 because when we under-levy, that goes back to the general fund. All of the other taxing districts get a chunk. We basically move about 135 of that went into the general fund. Based on our conversations with other communities that have recently done economic development plans, we knew we would be in the 95 to 110 kind of range for a plan, and that particularly for us being rural, we're going to want to have some increased expenditures for on-site visits. So that's where we came up with that 120. So we actually were able to add a marginal amount of extra fund to the general fund with that transfer.
And that's the plan that you talked about on Monday that's going to bring us from 2010 to current
Yes.
on our plans.
Yes,
A
and
lot of
that
things
really
are
is the need. I
different.
mean, we are really operating on a plan that is 16 years old, and there's been a couple of major economic events.
Oh, there's
that have
all sorts
shifted
of things that
since
have
then.
gone on, and yeah, things are different, so I understand that.
In our fiscal transformation initiative, that's a priority of effort as well.
That one really makes sense.
All right, economic development, any other questions? Planning, building maintenance. Michael, good to see you.
Hey, good evening. It's been a while.
It has.
Yeah, so
Go
what
ahead.
you're going to see in this budget is a significant reduction in our consultant services. And that was a project that John and I were planning on, and that's an archiving project of land use records that date back into the early 70s, and would also free up, the space that those records take up would free up some potential office space for IT folks. And so anyway, we cut that out, and the IT folks are just going to be kind of stuck where they currently are with the space that they've been utilizing. The other cut that is notable, for me anyway, is notable, is our legal fees. I took $6,000 out of that. And that's typically funding that I set aside as I go through code amendments. Excuse me, as I go through code amendments, and I have our legal counsel review that language. I have some minor amendments only in the works, and so I'm not anticipating using that this year.
Were we contracted for that, the consultants for the archiving?
Did we already have a contract?
Yep, correct. That's what I'm
No,
asking.
no, we did not. We do have an estimate, and we have, a proposal, but we have not contracted for that.
Any questions for Mike in planning? I'm assuming you're going to handle building maintenance separately.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I have a question. I'm sorry.
So we're back in planning, great?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Okay, so it went up on the computer system maintenance because you requested 1,200 and now you want 1,800. I was just wondering why.
Yeah, so that's, I believe that's related to our IT.
Yes.
And so I don't really control that, so that's a number that's kind
That's
of
the
given me.
Microsoft 365.
Well, okay, the new 65, okay. Thank you.
All right, now building maintenance, Mike.
Okay, and there's not much to cut in this one. What we did have is we had a significant project. We've been kind of looking at our parking lot for a significant amount of time. It's cracking and deteriorating, and we really would like to get that sealed and resurfaced before we end up having to just redo the whole parking lot.
This is behind City Hall?
This is the one that wraps around City Hall. But this is a project that, it's just kind of a deferred maintenance project that we'll just defer another year, and we'll see where we're at next year and maybe consider it then.
Were you planning on contracting that or using public?
That was, at this point, the estimate we have is to contract that out, but our hopes are that we would do a combination of contracting out and using Public Works, because I don't know if they have the time and resources to do the whole project for us, but that was something that we were looking at.
That looks good.
Any more questions for Mike on building maintenance?
Thank you.
Thank you. John, I'm glad I didn't bet.
What's that? Yeah? We're getting there.
All right, so we've heard every general fund budget, or every general fund account. We've had some questions for each one. So I'll open the floor for general deliberations or discussions on the general fund budget as it was presented to us this evening, plus any past elements that are still in place.
Were we
Well, I
going to
just
look at,
appreciate all of our directors coming together and be willing to cut something. I really appreciate it. I think they've done a good job. So thank you, guys. I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not what you wanted to do.
I'd like to add into that, the group not just came together and did the cuts, they also rallied around trying to bring that police position back.
Yeah, and I appreciate that too. Thank you, guys.
Any comments, deliberations, questions?
I have a comment. Just because we had to do a cut last year too, and then we went and asked for a 10%, so forth. Just for reference for next year, this might happen again. So we've got to, because we don't want to lose positions. So we've got to be really wise in some of the things that we do. Just for a heads up, because I don't want us to go through this again and requesting, okay, you need to take some off again, because I know how difficult it was. And I did a lot of praying for you guys, by the way, because I know how much you care about the city and everything. And we really appreciate all your willingness and your hard work that you guys have all done. And I know it felt like we were picking on the police last night, department, but it's kind of, we just felt it needed to go all the way around. So just to be aware for next year that we just need to be conservative and also look for new ways to bring in revenue so we don't have to do this again, because we know how much our citizens depend on each and every one of you. And so just heads up. And I think one thing too, I think we all need to be team players. You know, like I'm just going to use this for the splash pad. They're still a little short. We need to do what we can as a group here to try to help them to raise that money and get the word out. I think we need to be more like that, work all together on the projects that we want to focus on. So that's just what I wanted to say.
I'd like to piggyback off that just a little bit. I felt last night at the end of the meeting that that each of the committee members was incredibly earnest and candid and sincere, especially in voting. And I was really grateful for the discussions and the sincerity in what you guys brought to the table. I think that if this budget is approved with these cuts, our jobs as a committee are not done. I think that we're gonna have to talk about volunteering in the parks. We're gonna have to talk about how we can help the fire department with a receptionist. We're gonna have to look for $9,000 for a signal box wrap. We're gonna have to go to the organizations that we're a part of and ask them to donate to kids in the city. We're gonna have to help the library to keep these things running. Sorry. And it's really upsetting to know that we are where we are, that the current fiscal environment across the country is where it is. And we have to put such pressure on the people in our city who do such good work. I personally will not vote yes for the cuts because I believe in the vision that John has. And I'm not saying that I don't think that the cuts are necessary. I do. I just cannot, in good faith and good conscience, vote to approve this new budget. and that's what I want to say. But I do want to say thank you to you guys for everything that you did yesterday, and for listening and caring about the staff and the people in the city. I went home and I just kind of cried happy tears and shared with my kids how incredible it was. And my 7 and 12-year-old were amazed. And my 7-year-old said, "Mom, you don't have to come to my soccer game tomorrow. This is important." So I was going to be late tonight, but he told me I didn't have to because he understands the others. So thank you.
Thank you, Ricky Jill.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
I have one. I appreciate all of the efforts. I feel like this is a safer position for us to be fiscally. What has been cut is heart-wrenching, and it is impactful. And I am concerned about deferred maintenance, and I think that needs to be some focus. I think this will buy us time, and I think this is good for this year, but we are going to need to figure out how to not kick these deferred maintenance projects down the road, because they will come back to bite us. I think it's okay for now, but we can't let that go too much longer. So we're going to need to work through this and see if we can fund those next year.
So I would offer, first of all, I commend, John, you and the staff. There's a lot of hard decisions that were made here. That's the reality of running a city, is we cannot have everything we want. We can't have everything we argue that we need. We have to make hard decisions. There were some hard decisions made within the last 24 hours. It's put us in a position where, like Corrine said, we have bought ourselves time, but we haven't bought ourselves as much security. This will come around the next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. If you look at the items that were cut, most of these are not recurrent things, or rather, the major costs here, again, it's coming on the personnel side, it's coming in other areas. Cities have two levers, broadly speaking, that we can pull to change what that last item looks like. We either cut costs or we raise revenues. And we've seen the trend on revenues. It's steady, it's stagnant. We have, I would argue, little hope of raising these revenues within the next year without discovering some new means of doing that. But revenues for a city means taxes. So if the community cares enough about the things that we've talked about tonight, then we need to also have our community face some hard realities that we have to find a way of bringing in new revenue to this city, and it may come in the form of a tax. That's how a city gets money to operate things like a library and streets and fire and police departments and everything else. And so, this is, I think, a call to action, not just here, but in the broader community. And we are going to have some discussions about what it means for the future of this community to operate at the level of services that we are currently providing, because this is what it's not is sustainable. We purchased ourselves time, but there is no sustainability here. And so we have another year. And again, I commend us on buying ourselves that time, but this council is going to have to engage in some pretty meaningful conversations, and hopefully this fiscal transformation initiative bears some fruit, but it better bear some fruit pretty quickly here.
Thank you, Dave. Anyone else?
I'd just like to say that I do appreciate the position we put you guys in last night, that you really came to it and worked hard, made some hard decisions, and made the effort to bring us back a budget that we could.
Exactly. I think the task that we gave to John and the directors last night was substantial. I'm immensely impressed with what you came back with. And I understand that it's not easy to make these cuts. I'm not looking forward to doing this again, but I suspect it will be an ongoing issue until John's plans start to bear fruit, so. If there's no one else that has anything to say,
I have something.
go ahead.
Thank you for all the work that was done, especially on short order. I am deeply concerned about the labor run rate cost. That is our big liability here. And the changes that have been made touch it just a little bit. And so to me, I feel like we're going to be facing that cliff next year. So I don't feel like we've really achieved what we wanted, what we talked about achieving last night. And I know it's not easy, but I feel like that's where we are.
I think we all agree with you on that. It's not an easy task, and we're going to face it year after year until everything can change and turn around.
But
And
with
I know-
that being said, like John said, it's going to be like a 5 to 6 year
That's
process.
right.
And so it's not going to be something that's going to be fixed overnight.
Right.
And I too greatly appreciate what John and his department heads have put forth, because like everyone has said, it's not an easy task, and everybody's going to feel it.
If I could add to the conversation a little. Sure. In the plan that we developed is a 5 to 6 year plan, and it's in the best case scenario. But the plan is built to have thresholds in it that will expedite how fast we move to the various different levels that are intended to solve the problem that needs to be solved. We staff entirely fully acknowledge there is absolute revenue problem. And we're taking very creative approaches to try and solve that, but it's going to take time to yield those fruits. I wish I could sit here and say that I guarantee that it's going to work, but what I can say is with the commitment that I'm feeling behind me from the team and the creative addition, like personnel from deep in the organization are stepping up and becoming a part of helping us to get after creative ways to generate more revenue in the organization. Some of those are going to lead to hard conversations in the future where I'll use as an example, at one of the council meetings, we talked about the potential of bringing in an insurance agency that would be able to bring in some revenue for us. There's good reasons to do it and good reasons not to do it. But all I know is everything we don't do to bring in revenue to us is just one more thing that's not helping us solve the problem. And so somewhere in there, we got to make hard decisions. Like we're going to keep bringing options to bring revenue there, but that's where we need support is, hey, even though there's reasons not to do it, let's look for this is the reasons why we need to do it. And so that would be my ask going forward is that help us help you. Help us help our community.
But we all have to work together to get this accomplished.
Yep.
Staff, council, budget committee, everybody, community.
And I would say, Mary Ann, there are a lot of elements of the city's budget that the community can be directly and financially involved with.
Right.
The fact that we have a library foundation and that they bring in something.
Right.
We should have a parks foundation. We should have an emergency services foundation. Friends of the Grande Police Department. Something that is extra governmental, that is a revenue source of some type, albeit tens of thousands of dollars a year, but something that can help fund the art pieces, bring more books in, cover the cost of the IT necessities, the security. It's a new world, and community needs to be involved to a greater degree than it has been in the past, because it doesn't want to pay more taxes. It should volunteer any and all resources that it possibly can.
I agree. It tugs everyone.
Yes, sir. Anything else? Because the next move is to close these hearings.
Can I revisit just briefly the grant writer position? Because we talked about the opportunity to maybe use a contract grant writer. My understanding is that that would not have any fiscal impact if we do that. Is that correct?
Thank you for bringing that up. What I failed to explain when I went over it is that, yes, we removed the intent to bring on an FTE, but instead of spending the 30-some thousand dollars that we were going to spend for that position, we put $15,000 into services, and that $15,000 is going to be intended for us to seek grant support efforts. The team today, this is one of those large tasks, big moves for us. Everybody's got a lot to do. And one of the things that's been a problem is being able to find the bandwidth on our own to be able to get after it, which was why we were looking for this position. Every one of them said they will do their part to contribute and surge that effort to prove that this is worth being an FT in the future. With the intent for us to use that $15,000 to get somebody to help feed opportunities to us, and then work on it from that perspective. What I will say is that sounds simple in explanation. That's another heavy lift on top of what is already occurring, even with that opportunity. But they're committed to proving that it's worth the investment in the future.
Great. I would hope the community of La Grande is well known in the grant world. We are out there battling and advocating for ourselves, especially with some of the cuts that have been made in the last 24 hours to this proposal. So that's another way that we can help to backfill some of what we've seen here, especially with libraries and parks. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are you ready for a motion, Steve?
If you guys are ready to move forward, somebody can do a motion, but
Well,
he has to
I'll-
close the hearing
The
first.
public hearing on the proposed general fund budget is now closed. And I will entertain a motion to...
I move that
Go ahead.
I move that the general fund budget for fiscal year 2026 and 2027 be approved as presented.
As amended.
As amended, okay, as amended, that the ad valorem property tax rate is 4392 per thousand of assessed value be imposed for the general fund, and that the budget be forwarded in its entirety to the City Council for consideration and adoption during the City Council's regular session on June 3rd, 2026.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any more deliberation, conversation, discussion? The only thing I'm going to say is that this has been one of the toughest budgets we've sat through in a long time. And Matt, you've been here a number of years. It's not normally like this, guys. All right, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Okay, we'll start with Josh Bachman,
No.
Matt Barber,
Yes.
Steve Clemens.
Yes.
Green Dudo,
Yes.
David Glabe,
Yes.
Ricky Joe Hickey,
No.
Megan Keating,
Yes.
Molly King,
Yes.
Gary Lillard,
Yes.
Marianne Miesner,
Yes.
Justin Rock,
Yes.
Tony Smith,
Yes.
Denise Wheeler.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, we're not quite done. We have a few little details for enterprise fund. Kyle? Still no suit, man.
Well, when
Still love you.
you go into the room to fix general fund, you don't figure you'll return to the right up here again.
So there's two elements that we need to review, Kyle, and that's the street reserve fund and the general reserve fund. That's Heather's bailiwick. Tell us about street reserve fund.
The only change that we made is that council years ago decided that when we have an unanticipated increase in carryover cash in the general fund, that a quarter of that increase would go to street and roads. So it's not often when you work for municipal government that you get to sit in the room and be the affluent person and look around at others in need. But to have $40,000 coming from general fund to streets and roads, it just seemed like the only thing Public Works could do that could help the situation is just let them keep it. So as a nuance to that, upon the budget acceptance, the council will have to reallocate those funds. This isn't a transfer that we can approve by a budget committee because this wasn't moved. This was established by the council, so they will have to reallocate those funds to keep them in the general fund.
Will they have to, question for John, will the council have to rescind the policy that is established in terms of the way it allocates any unanticipated ending fund balance?
I don't believe so. We haven't in the past.
Okay, okay. Sorry, don't get that 36K
That's okay.
next time.
We're counting
Yeah.
on the gas tax.
That's
There
okay.
you go. Thank you, Kyle.
Yep.
Any questions? Sorry. You're good.
All right.
Heather, tell us about the impact on general reserve fund.
General reserve, it's down to the 5,000, because that's the contractual that we have for the turf. So basically, we've forgone the unanticipated, half of the unanticipated any cash balance from last year, and all the other transfers that we have decided to forego for capital projects or equipment in the future.
So reiteration of what I said earlier, this means that there'll be no savings account for long-term or large expenses. So if you need a new ambulance, you better be ready to find $500,000. I think I got that
We can
about.
find it.
Yeah.
We do have money in there.
Yes.
We're just not adding to it
Right,
this year.
just not adding. All right, any questions on general reserve
It's
fund?
not something I would recommend keep going doing, but we can do it this year.
So to that point, though, we made a similar move last year to try to shelter the effect on the cash reserves. And we did it with a commitment that if the city came in under budget, that we would restore that funding. And we did that last year. We were able to do it. And so I would suggest that, the council consider doing a similar thing this year, that if by some miracle we come in short of the projected $3 million that we're going to chew out of the the cash reserves that the city has, that I would hope that the council would happily restore some of what has been.
So is that an action the council can take on its own? I know there's some limits in terms of how much you can change accounts and,
That would actually be a supplemental budget because that's an interfund transfer.
yeah, I wondered about that.
How did we do it last year?
We didn't restore, it just stayed within the general fund.
Oh, I thought we restored it.
No, it just stayed
Our
within the
direction,
general fund.
Robert, was to
Okay.
Move it, yeah, it was to move it.
To move it.
we gave him direction to do that.
But we didn't do a supplemental budget.
So I guess
We may need to
maybe,
revisit that on another occasion.
so we kept 400,000 in the general fund, and you're saying if we had a additional and unanticipated cash at the end of last fiscal year, that we were supposed to move that back in?
That was
We don't
council
know that
budget.
until the end of the year, and our unanticipated ending cash was only 140,000.
So you couldn't have moved the full 400,000?
I thought we did that too.
I thought we did. I thought it was a mid-year
I think
move
we
or
all
something.
think that.
Yeah,
That's what we talked about.
Because in order for me to do that transfer, in order for the transfer to happen, it has to be budgeted to transfer it back into the general reserve. It was not budgeted that way, so we would have had to have done a supplemental budget. It stayed within the general fund.
I wasn't there.
Let's look at the creek.
Don't blame me.
How, can we research this and revisit?
Yeah, I'd
come
have to go back
talk
and
about it?
research it.
Okay, that sounds like something that you can do for the council. I don't think the budget committee needs to be involved with that. Deliberations on what we just heard on the street reserve and the general reserve funds? Going once, going twice. Public hearings on the proposed enterprise and other fund budgets and state revenue sharing are now closed. I'll entertain a motion.
This will also be as amended.
I move that the enterprise and other fund budgets for fiscal year 2026 2027 be approved as amended, and that the budget be forwarded in its entirety to the City Council for consideration and adoption during the City Council regular session on June 3rd, 2026.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comments before we vote? Have a roll call vote, please.
Josh Bachman,
Yes.
Matt Barber,
Yes.
Steve Clemens,
Yes?
Colleen Dudo,
Yes.
David Glabe,
Yes.
Ricky Joe Hickey,
Yes.
Megan Keating,
Yes.
Molly Keane,
Yes.
Gary Lillard,
Yes.
Marianne Miesner,
Yes.
Justin Rock is abstaining from vote, Tony Smith,
Yes.
Denise Wheeler.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Done yeoman's work this time. Thank you very much. The Budget Committee is hereby adjourned. The committee will reconvene on June 3rd, 2026 to consider approval of the City of the Grand Budget Committee meeting. And just an addendum, we will also address the urban renewal district budget. Please come. Your vote is important for the minutes. Thank you. We're adjourned.